the man with the plan, the Iceman, the man with the knowledge, worldwide web. The Iceman here this Friday morning. How's everybody doing? TNA Impact last night was a pretty good show in my eyes, in my views. Being a wrestling fan in general, I'm not just a fan of one wrestling show or one wrestling promotion. I'm a fan of them all. Bring them all on, because that's what it's all about when you're a wrestling fan. Okay, now this coming Sunday we have the Slammaversary Pay-Per-View presented by TNA Impact Wrestling. TNA Total Nonstop Action. It is the 12th Slammiversary, I believe. And, for a roster being so thin for TNA, I think they actually have a pretty good card lineup for this pay-per-view. And a lot of it has to do with, stipulations for some of the matches. So let's run them down and let's see what we got. First off, I do want to mention Kurt Angle will announce the next inductee into the TNA Hall of Fame. A lot of people are wondering who that's going to be. Could it be Jeff Jarrett? Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, let's move on. We have an appearance by two of the Von Erichs in a tag team match. Their opponents were not yet announced. I don't know too much about these kids. I believe it's Kevin Von Erich. But it should be interesting. If anybody knows anything about wrestling, they remember WCCW. They remember Kerry Von Erich, the late Kerry Von Erich. This was a pretty good promotion back in the days of WCCW. But anyway, the appearance of two of the boys against a tag team to be announced. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens, and who their opponents are going to be. It's just going to be fun to watch two of the Von Erich boys, just for the simple fact that if you know the history of the Von Erich family, they were a big, big wrestling family in the day. So we're going to have a TNA Knockouts Championship match. Gail Kim sort of secured her spot last night on Impact when she had that three-way match with Brittany and Madison Rayne. Brittany sort of screwed things up for Madison Rayne, but Gail Kim ended up becoming victorious, so now she faces Angelina Love, who is the Knockouts champion in TNA. Now, as far as my prediction goes with this match, there's a lot of rumors that Gail Kim may be retiring soon. I mean, I don't think she's all that old, but maybe she has a lot of other endeavors that she would like to pursue, other interests that, she may want to do. But she did make some remarks that if she does retire, she'd like to go out on top. So that could lead me to believe if indeed Gail is looking to retire, then she would end up capturing the TNA Knockouts Championship belt. Angelina's had it for a little bit of time now since she came back, and we all knew usually when somebody's gone for a long period of time and they come back, they usually get the title. Is it time for Angelina to lose? Yeah, in my eyes it is, because it will make it for a much better product, between the knockouts, and we also saw the return of Brooke last night, which was a good thing in TNA as well. So what I'm thinking possibly here is, I'm just sort of wondering whether Brittany gets involved in some way that could really throw the match off. But I'm going to predict that Gail Kim ends up taking the title away from Angelina Love. But that's just my prediction. Now, in one of the matches that could be the show stealer, in my eyes, is Austin Aries going up against Kenny King. We all know about Austin Aries and his ability. He's great on the mic. He's great in the ring. He's like the CM Punk of TNA. And he's going up against Kenny King, who I think is just great. I love his character. I love what he's doing right now in TNA, and I love the fact he's around on a weekly basis now. And that's one of the things that Dixie Carter did to make it more interesting for Impact Wrestling on Thursday nights. So this match could be pretty interesting. And the other thing with this is, will there be some sort of interference, by maybe possibly Bobby Lashley or MVP, during this match? Hopefully there won't be. Hopefully they give them a lot of time. But I think this match could go either way as well. Now that Austin Aries is back on TNA TV, and now that Kenny King is back on TNA TV, this could just be one of those matches that could go on all night long. If I were to give it an edge, I think with Kenny King being back and where he stands right now, along MVP and Bobby Lashley, I give Kenny King the edge in this match, but it should be a good one. Then we have the Cowboy, James Storm, going up against the crazy Mr. Anderson in my eyes. This is going to be a pretty good match as well. I think this is just going to be the beginning of a feud between both of these guys. And I think what's going to happen here is, the feud, it's going to go back and forth. Anderson wins one night and Cowboy James Storm wins another, until they finally come down to where they have one of those final matches, maybe in a cage or whatnot, to decide, the final moment, the final outcome. In this match, though, I think James Storm is going to get the better of Mr. Anderson. I think because Mr. Anderson has really, put it to James Storm in the last few weeks or so. So look for Storm and Anderson, to be another good match, but James Storm will come out on top of this one. Then we move on to Willow versus Magnus. This is going to be an interesting match. Magnus is gone back and dug deep with his buddy Bram, and he's showing the true heel that he can be. This is even a deeper heel side of Magnus than what we've seen in the past. It's going to be a phenomenal match as well. Now, I sort of have a feeling that Bram's going to get involved in this match. I think the crowbar is going to be involved. We all know what Jeff Hardy, aka Willow, can do in the ring. It's one of those matches where, Willow really doesn't need to win, and by Magnus beating him makes Magnus look even stronger. So I'm looking for Magnus to come out on top of this match, but don't be surprised if Bram has some sort of involvement in it. But it's going to be a really, really good match as well. Now we got Bobby Lashley and Samoa Joe. Another good matchup. One would have to think that Lashley just being back on a regular basis on TNA TV, that he's going to come out on top, but you got to consider too the fact that Samoa Joe has just returned after a pretty long hiatus. I think, in my eyes here, Samoa Joe is going to, give it his all. It's going to be a really good match, but when it's all said and done, I think the ref is going to be raising the arm of Samoa Joe. But look for this to be a really exciting match. Then we have a Texas death match. Bully Ray versus Ethan Carter III. Now, one would think going into this match that Bully Ray has the full advantage over Ethan Carter. Bully Ray with really with more experience than EC3. But I have a feeling, now this is just a feeling that I have, Dixie has made it a point that she's got bigger and better things to come here in TNA. And everybody that's been watching Impact the last month or so knows that Bobby Roode has not been around. I think Bobby Roode comes back as a face. Dixie I do believe eventually is going to turn face. I think Bobby Roode is going to play a big role in this match, and I think he's going to screw over Bully Ray, and Ethan Carter III is going to get the win. A lot of people would love to see EC3 go through a table and possibly Dixie coming out and, Bully Ray throwing her through a table as well. But I do think there's going to be some sort of interference with Bobby Roode. We have not seen him in a long time, and I think it's time that he does come back. So look for Ethan Carter III to pull this one out. And of course, Bully Ray really doesn't need the accolades. He's already established himself. And this would be a big, big win for EC3. Now, the TNA X Division Championship match, it's a ladder match. It's about time, really, for the X Division to really get motivated and get moving. We're going to have the champion Sonata go up against Manic versus Tigre Uno versus Crazy Steve versus Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards. Why? People are saying, why isn't Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards defending their title belts? Really, guys, who is there for them to defend against other than the Bromans? And we've seen that so many times in the past. So this is a good thing because both these guys, doing singles matches, are really, really capable, of being in an X Division ladder match. I think this is going to also be a great match. Who do I think is going to come out on top? Well, you got Crazy Steve of the Menagerie, and, they are pushing the Menagerie. And I really hope that it's not him that comes out on top. I don't see it being Eddie Edwards or Davey Richards unless the fact that the intentions are for them to lose the tag team titles in the really, really near future. But for now, people are saying, well, Sonata's going to be leaving. So I don't know. This is a toss-up for me. I don't think it's going to be Manic unless Manic is going to be here on a full-time basis. I'm going to go with Tigre Uno to end up winning the X Division title. So we'll just have to wait and see on that one. Now, the TNA World Heavyweight Championship match, it's in a steel cage as stipulated last night by Eric Young by getting that second win on a disqualification against MVP. A lot of people know that Eric Young is doing his Animal Planet TV show. We all know that MVP has been injured. Will he have enough to come back? This steel cage match should be a match to where there is no interference, but as we've seen so many times in the past, we've seen people within a cage, the people on the outside always find a way to get in. I think it's going to be a really interesting matchup. I think it's going to be a short match just for the fact that MVP is injured. But deep down inside, I really do believe that MVP is going to come out on top of this, unless I'm wrong about Bobby Roode getting involved with Bully Ray and EC3. Maybe he holds off and gets involved in a steel cage match with Eric Young and MVP. And again, Bobby Roode coming back as a face, hopefully. Maybe will end up somehow getting himself installed in some sort of way. But I do see Eric Young dropping the belt on Sunday. It's been fun watching Eric Young. I think he's been a very good champion, a very active champion, and I think TNA has done a lot of good things, and hopefully there's more good things to come. So those are my thoughts. Those are my predictions about Slammaversary this coming Sunday night. You guys check it out. I think it's going to be a really good show. If you look at the card, look at the stipulations, the show looks great. Yeah, it's not, loaded with stars like we've seen in the past, but with the roster that TNA has, I think they've done a good job. The only thing that I really miss actually being on the card is Bobby Roode and Gunner, because I think both of them should be on the card. But we'll just have to wait and see if there's any kind of involvement. And then again, to Gunnar May getting himself involved with James Storm and Mr. Anderson. We just have to wait and see. So peace out, everybody. Have yourself a great Friday. This is the Iceman.